Each day you wake up, you get dressed, you eat breakfast, and you're off to work. Stuck in traffic, have lunch for 5 minutes, then back to work. Then on the way home, stuck in traffic, get home, eat dinner, go to bed, and repeat. For most Americans, this is a normal day. The average person checks their cell phone 110 times a day. That's more than 1,500 times a week. Teens today, also known as the Facebook generation or digital natives, are part of the first US generation to be so closely identified with technology. What better place to learn about social media than at a high school? I've come to Cambridge High School in Milton, Georgia to learn more about social media and why and how we use it.
I use social media. Lorenzo, I use social media quite often. I use Twitter to make sure I communicate things with our parents and our community. I've used some video logs in the past, and we use our website. So yeah, I'm involved in some different.
Instagram, Vine, Twitter, Kik, Snapchat. Pretty much everything.
Instagram, Snapchat, Vine, and stuff like that, so on and so forth. I do Facebook and I do Instagram. Those are the only two that I do. But I'm pretty much, I guess, what you would call a stalker. I don't really write a lot.
We use social media for, I use my Twitter account to advertise and celebrate all the great things that are happening here. I use social media to alert our parents of upcoming events, like if we have a college visit or if we have deadlines for scheduling, things like that. But it is a lot of information. It's celebration, but also information sharing with our parents. Social media is one of those things that it's not just okay, it's either great or it's not so great. From the great standpoint, social media is used to really highlight all the things happening in the school. It's used to celebrate, like I said before, celebrate all the great things happening here when we celebrate our SAT scores. It's also used for connecting people. If students have questions about things going on in the school, they can go into social media, or they have access to things that we want to provide from the school. So as far as connecting our community, that has been a fantastic thing that we've had to really use the last couple years. Social media is also used when things like when we had the big snowstorm that hit. We used all methods of social media that we had access to make sure our parents knew their kids were safe, the access they had to their kids to get them home safely. So in times of emergency, social media is also very, very beneficial.
Benefits of social media. Some of the benefits might be let me think about that one for a minute. You're going to edit this and
yeah.
Okay, good. To think about it, you hear about so many negative effects of social media. Some of the benefits might be more related to being able to network with people, being able to kind of broaden, maybe I want to say broaden horizons, but broaden your view of different people that you're able to interact with. And I actually printed out some stuff too because I found it. Okay, I guess one of the other things, and it can be a positive and a benefit and a negative impact, would be that when you are texting or on Facebook, on any of the social media sites, a lot of the emotion comes out of it, and so it can be interpreted many different ways. Sometimes it can be interpreted in really good ways. People feel like they've made lots and lots of friends, which can be a really good thing. But at the same time, I think that it can also be deceiving, can be related to, maybe some cyberbullying, some ways that maybe the kids interact, or just individuals in general interact with each other that may not be the most appropriate. Like, for example, one of the things I wrote down, that it's definitely more comfortable to interact with other people in that manner, whether it's, when you can just say, oh, I'll just send a text, or I'll just send a message. But sometimes it can be less sensitive as well. So I know these are more negative impacts than benefits, but I think there's so many more than there are the benefits. I guess if you look at more benefits in the outside world, you can use it for, advertising. There's definitely advertising. I mean, you look on Facebook, for example, and there's so much advertising on there. People get their businesses across, that sort of thing. So that's the biggest benefit I can probably see.
Social media can be good and can be bad. There are several cases where people have been cruel on social media.
Well, it's one of those things I talked about. There's great things in social media, there's things that aren't so great. We deal with a lot of behaviors where sometimes people and generally students get caught up in putting things on social media that may not be appropriate. When you're talking to a screen or you're just typing things in, sometimes you don't always think about the people that are receiving on the other end. It's a different kind of conversation. Sometimes they are things that aren't very nice to people, and you get caught up in some of the bullying things and things that are maybe defamatory towards people, or you get caught up in where things may be seen as a challenge to our safety of our school. So all the social media things, I think people sometimes put things on social media where they don't think about what they put on there sometimes, and sometimes it's just not appropriate to get caught up in some situations where it may not be in the best benefit.
Well, my sisters actually have screenshotted my Instagram posts and made fun of it and stuff, but that's pretty much the extent of it.
If people are only posting really good things, then you don't see some of the things where maybe people are hurting or have different needs. And, so you don't see some of those things. You see all the really good things and you want to be jealous of some of the things that people see. So sometimes what people write doesn't always come across the most positive way. It can be cruel. Going back to the cyberbullying, it can be cause some, I guess you could say it could cause some of the anxiety that maybe, I'm not like my friends, they're posting all these really cool things and I'm not posting it. Could lead to some low self-esteem.
I think we can always do a better job of explaining the benefits of social media to our students, especially our 9th and 10th graders, and also explaining some of the dangers of using social media inappropriately. Social media is always changing too, and I can't keep up. I mean, I've never used Facebook. I'm sure by now there's something better than Twitter, but that's what I use. But just trying to keep up with the things that how to connect people on social media. And I think communication is going to be, education is really the key to our society, is how do we continue to better educate our students and even our parents in our community on how to use social media to benefit, to share information.
I'm not sure because everybody is so hooked into it now, so connected, and at such young ages. Some kids, I also work at the elementary school, and I see some kids in elementary school already using some of those sites, and it's not, from what I have seen, it's not been a real positive impact. So I think maybe the biggest thing would be for parents to really be aware of when they allow their children to have access to those, and be really just cognizant of what their child's level is, socially, psychologically, because some kids are just not able to handle that at such a young age. As we get older, it's hard to, say you can control it in any way. I wish we could.
I guess take the part out about it where people make fun of other people and do other stuff. I think use it for like kind things and not being rude. Being raised by social media it's different. It's a different world that our parents used to live in and everything.
Social media can be a tool for good and bad. However, sometimes we can get too connected and it can become a distraction in our daily lives.
Absolutely. And that's not just for teenagers or young children. I think that's for adults as well. I mean, I found myself, I find myself looking at my phone every now and then to look at something, whether it's a text message or, looking something to see if something happened here or there. That happens probably more than I should. But it's definitely distracting. I've heard it here at the school about how kids are using their phones in class for reasons that they shouldn't be, and that's taking them away from their schoolwork. So.
Not necessarily distraction, but it's definitely tempting to eat like a text. The first thing I'd probably just listen to the rest.
It certainly can be. It certainly can be. If you look in the news, you can see how social media, what is that one thing, was it Yik Yak or Yik Yak? Where things were put on there and you can trace where it was from. So there are times where social media can be a distraction. Again, when things are posted that maybe aren't, that people aren't comfortable with, or are, like I said, that just, I'm real big on being nice to people. When things are put on there that aren't very nice, it does cause people some tension. At the end of the day, kids in our school, teachers in our school are much like our kids. If they don't feel safe and they can't focus on the job at hand, which is teaching and learning, then it can be a big distraction.
Social media is hardwired into our brains. However, social media does something to our brains. Something that makes us feel gratified or hyper. Excited that we got a like on this photo, or thinking that we have lots of friends on the web.
What does social media do to your brain? The first word that comes to my mind is maybe hypersensitive, hypervigilant, hyper-connected, because we're always connected. And I know I've said that a few times, but it kind of makes you always aware of everything around you, which is not a bad thing, because it does alert us to things in the environment, weather, bad things going on in the community that we need to be aware of. It can also help us with, I've seen different things about, I've lost my whoever, my father or my dog or whatever it might be, and and people come through and help me to find that. But those types of things, you're always aware. So physiologically, I don't know exactly how it affects our brain, but definitely psychologically, it's definitely a hyper focus on everybody else rather than yourself. So taking care of yourself is definitely more important, I think. Very important, I shouldn't say more important. But
I think social media, the main part about it is the instant gratification, like I said earlier, and how it's like, how many likes did I get on this photo, and how many retweets did I get on this tweet, how many people saw my Snapchat story. So, it can be used for good and bad.
It's so ingrained in our society now, and there are so many new things popping up all the time that everybody, and yes, probably more teenagers, young children, young adults, wanting to have that access to their community and their friends and meeting new people, and so I don't see that going away.
No, I just think we live in a world that is different than when I grew up. People are connected in ways that they've never been connected before, and in some ways, it is wonderful to have all this information at your fingertips. And I think people are bombarded with information that comes from all different resources and different social media. My bottom line is that people need to be careful what they put on social media, because you don't always know how people on the other end that read it are how they're gonna feel about it.